Okay, now it's started to record.
Good.
Okay, we ran some tests and I think that's working now. Yeah. Okay, this is episode 30.
Oh,
Episode 30 of TricitiesKnit. This is Natalie.
hello, guys.
And I'm Jenny, and we're taking the, remote social distancing thing seriously. So we have this Skype thing set up, and hopefully it's going to record properly because I've never done this. Have you ever tried this system before?
No, never. I'm very far from this technology, so I Skype for me it's absolutely unknown.
Territory?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't really like Skype that much. I find the interface kind of confusing, especially because they keep changing it, but I couldn't really find anything else to use. So I've set it up in my bedroom and we have a nice day today, so I've gotten some filtered lighting here and the mess here isn't showing up in the webcam. So it's great. So Natalie, what do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about yoke sweaters. Nowadays it's very popular construction. Everybody knitting yoke, and I think it's the most easiest construction for the sweater. It's basically you cannot go wrong with the yoke. So let's talk about the yokes. And based on our experience, we have a lot of yoke done, so we can share uh, our thoughts and tips and tricks we used for the yoke knitting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that yolks are the easiest thing to knit, especially because it's just we're talking top down. I don't think I've ever made a sweater bottom up. You
What
know,
about your frost? How you call it?
oh, in biking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was an operation. I cut across it. It's all on my project, the Ravelry project page. This is the last time I started it bottom up, and then I didn't like how it fit around my waist, and then I changed it and I cut across and I started, I did the yoke. I'll never. The pattern is written up top down. I will never, never gonna do this bottom up thing again because it just I can't try it on. So it's like almost I have like anxiety when I'm done. Is it gonna fit or not? But
But now with loose feet, you couldn't go wrong with bottom up because you just knit straight till the
yeah,
armpits, and then the numbers, your numbers, so you
yeah.
just the sleeves and the number stitches for the yoke. It's
No, you're
easy
right. You're right.
and I yeah.
Um, this was you're totally right. This was a long time ago, and I'm gonna show you the sweater. I'm thinking, and I posted this in my group as well. I think I'm gonna redo this pattern because the sizing isn't that great. First of all, it's the last bust is 39, which is ridiculously small these days for a range. And another thing I have princess darts in the back. They're done in the back. You can't, I don't know. Can you really see? I can't see it because I've got like a small window there. But if you look on the Ravelry, you'll see it's a very fitted sweater. And, this is what I prefer to wear. Sorry, this is the back darts. You can really tell it's like an actual dart. Um, and with a loose fit, you're right. It's a lot easier because you just cast on your hip and you knit straight up and then you separate it. And then there's there are considerations where bottom up works better. If you like the decreases look better, then this is what you do. And they do look different. There's no way around it. They do look vastly different.
I think we should try
You want to try?
up, yeah. Based on your and my experience, I don't think we can do it wrong way. So it's
Yeah, I
just
mean, yeah. You know the numbers. I mean, the numbers are the most important thing. You're gauging your numbers. And in the last week, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. And there's one thing, you guys, I have to tell you. I've seen or listened so many podcasts that tell me they don't do gauge swatches. No, you need a gauge swatch. If you want something to fit, especially for a garment, you need to have a gauge swatch. I cannot stress this enough. You can substitute increases, decreases. You can customize your sweater. It doesn't matter, but the gauge swatch and your numbers is the most important thing. So let's start. You
But
show what you have.
and no, just a second about
Yeah,
the gauge
yeah.
swatch. Most of the knitters use their favorite yarns, and
Oh
they
well, that's
know.
fine.
So for you and for me, I don't think we need a gauge swatch because
Well,
you
no.
know your gauge and I know mine.
Well, no, no. What I'm saying is that if you like say I made three things with Cascade 220, and I know that I'm going to get 20 stitches per 4 inches with, number 6 needle. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do a gauge swatch. But if you're bought yarn and you're a new knitter and you don't know, then yes, do
But
a
I
gauge.
don't advise you start with a yoke sweater. Start with
Well, you will eventually make a yoke sweater. I'm more of a, I don't know. I follow rules in this case. I don't think that it's just I've seen a lot of people complain that they make things that don't fit. They use the yarn that doesn't go with the pattern, and they don't swatch, and then they just use the instructions, and they end up with something different.
No, usually they swear they did swatch, and swatch was exactly like it says in the pattern. But when they need
Yeah.
the garnet for some reason,
Well, that happens too. That happens too because your garment is bigger than your swatch. And that's why I read somewhere swatches lie. You make like a little swatch and it's not going to be the same as a sweater because the sweater weighs down and it stretches. So you kind
it
of have
depends on
to,
the yarn content.
yeah,
If it's silk or with rayon or with some alpaca, so it will grow
yeah.
eventually. Nothing you
So,
can do with it.
so that's why I always block partially. If I'm done the yoke, then I slip it into yarn and I wash it, and then I try it on and I can see. So I think that's a lot of people probably don't do that, and I tell my testers to do that. I think it's very helpful. But I mean, I don't see 90% of knitters actually go to that length to do that. It's just I'm just paranoid that way. Like
I always wash my sweater before I finish body and sleeves. I always redo these sleeves and body because yeah, it's either too short or too
yeah,
long.
especially superwash yarn.
Yeah.
It tends to grow. Sometimes it shrinks back. I think with a lot of superwash yarns, they actually rely on you to put it in the dryer to shrink it back.
Be careful with this.
I don't do No, I don't do that. I don't put anything in the dryer that has wool in it. Like it's just my thing. I don't do that. But I
Color adventure yarn specifically works fine for me to put
yeah.
in a dryer. But ritual dice, no. No, it didn't. It didn't fail. No, but
But it didn't
it's
didn't go back.
yeah.
I mean, it depends on the yarn. I think these were probably different suppliers because Color Adventures was a Canadian mill, and it's probably different yarn. I personally would not put anything in the dryer just because I think I made it by hand. I might as well take the 10 minutes to wash it because you don't need to wash wool very often anyway. So that's my rationale. But I think a lot of people kind of like they buy superwash for kids and for easy care, and they want to put it in the dryer after, so it
Faster.
easy care, not to spread it out and hover over it to make sure it's okay. But yeah, you start because we're gonna talk about specifically short rows and how to where it's best to put short rows depending on your body type. Now, I'm just going to say one thing. Everyone has different shoulders, and this is where the rate of your shaping, addition or subtraction, doesn't matter, decreasing, increasing, comes in. Is some people like me, they have square shoulders, so I can add a lot more right away and then add like 30% at the bottom. Some people have like shoulders that are more, what's the word for it, like not like this, and so they need to kind of adapt the pattern for themselves for better fit. And as long as you end up with the same number of stitches before your color work, you're okay. And you talk about short rows because you're the master of that, as I'm very limited as far as short rows.
No, let's talk about first, as you because you already started talking about increases. But my recommendation, because you personally, me, I don't like to open neck, so I start with a fewer stitches for the neck opening than most of people. And to get to correct number of stitches, you have to increase rapidly at the beginning. So my advice, regardless what,
yes, that's true.
What shoulders type you have to increase, my advice, every 2 stitches. Sometimes people increase twice, like every 1 stitch they put increase, but it's too rapid. It can create, ruffles, but every 2 stitches, it's the best. So you start after you finish your neckband, you increase right away every 2 stitches. And then you can decide the next how you want. But from my experience, it's every 2 stitches, every 3 stitches, and every 4 stitches. Then after this, you can do whatever you want. It depends again on the color work, so you have to adjust your increases to fit the pattern. But from the beginning there, it's my recommendation. If you want to have yoke fit nicely, do this.
No, I agree. I think the first increase row should definitely be knit 2, make 1, or whatever increase you're using. There's so many different increases. I don't think it really matters. Just depends on you and what your preference is. I know that Jen Steingass uses her own increase in her patterns. I haven't actually tried it because I just do make 1, which is basically like make 1 left, and it works for me. As long as you twist it, you've got no hole. It's the easiest one, and I just stick with it. And the rest you can kind of space. I guess the way you space it on your yoke will depend on your specific. Yeah, but the first round, you're right. This sweater, my Inner Viking, has a very wide neck. See, it's like super wide. Like when I wear it, I've got my bra showing. And so my increase here is not like that. I think it's actually knit 4, make 1, but that's just because it sits lower. So this is something you have to consider, is some patterns like they're up to here and you need more stitches, right? So yeah, it's I know that Brooklyn tweed patterns, the one that's everyone knitted a while ago, I always forget what it's called.
Stasis.
Yeah, stasis. It has the it's bottom up, so it has basically at the end it has knit 2 and then 2 together. That's the very last, and if you look on Ravelry, the fit is really close. It's a close neck sweater, so that's actually something if you're modifying or customizing a pattern, this is something you need to consider. What I'm saying is you can do whatever you need before you get to the color work. So you can space out your increases or decreases or whatever, depending how you do it, and you can, put short rows in there however you want it to fit you. And then once you start the color work, the only thing you need is just the number of stitches for that color work. As long as you've got your math right, it should work. Now about short rows, you can talk.
Oh, okay. So I tried different position of the short rows and different kind of short rows. I mean, how you do your short rows. So I tried just after the neckband. I did my short rows, and then I do increases. But now I'm thinking it's a better way. Do first increase and then position your short rows. I'm talking about if you have the yoke, the color work not interrupted, like it's go from top to the bottom. If and I did try the short rows after you finish your yoke, just before you separate body from the sleeves, and it works too. The way I do the short rows, it's from shorter and go further towards the front. Some people, I didn't try, I think you tried to do
the
from
other route.
wider and narrow to the
That's how I
back. I don't know what's
Yeah.
better fit because I never tried the other one. In my opinion, it creates kind of bubble at the back, but what is your experience?
This is how I do. I do all my sweaters like that. But I add, see, the thing is I add very little short rows. Very little. I don't have a single pattern where I have two sets of short rows. I'll just have, 8 short rows going from larger to smaller. So they'll start out with, here, like almost like here, right? And you just make them smaller and smaller. I'll do about 8 of them. So twice each way, 4 times, so 8 short rows. And that's it. And this is what I've done for all my sweaters. The only difference is where I place them. So I'll show you one thing so I don't forget. I'm working on a sweater that is going to be kind of like my lines and triangles hat. The lines and triangles hat. So it's the same thing. It's the same color work. It's very simple. And in the beginning here, because the rest of the sweater, after I'm done with the color work, by the way, so I'm done with the yoke, I just need to block it. It's the rest of the sweater is just going to be like one line stripes. So you cannot put short rows after this color work because it's not going to look very good. One row stripes and short rows don't look very good because you're gonna see that, or I mean, some people like it. I don't. It wasn't my intention. So I put short rows here. Like this is my short rows. As long as I have with the back, this is the back because I've got a piece of yarn stuck here and my hair. But this is the back. So as long as I have this kind of difference, I don't know what they call it in English, but in Russian there's a word for it. The higher one. It's called, I'm not going to say a Russian word here because there's no one speaks Russian probably amongst our listeners, but you want to have about an inch difference here. Your back needs to be about an inch higher. So as long as it's an inch higher, you're good. And I think that 8 times would suffice that. Now, Natalie's more concerned with your fit on the shoulder, because I'm not that picky. I think that, I'm okay with having, but then again, because I have a very wide shoulder and my shoulder just kind of stretches the fabric and I don't have anything. But if you have shoulders that are not square like that, then you need a good shoulder fit so you don't have bumps and you don't have fabric sticking out in the back. You know what I mean?
So you think the short rows can give you this problem if you have not a square shoulders? Because
I think that maybe short rows that are placed more strategically, like what you do, like this Asian short row where it's every line, I think it gives you probably better fit. It probably does
Yeah.
give you a better fit.
For these people with not the straight shoulders, but
Yeah, I think it could give you a better fit where you have people with slanted shoulders. You can give them a little bit of a better fit with short rows, because they're not square. They're curvy. While I can just add a bunch of stitches and the fabric will forgive itself because it's knitting, it's not sewing. Now with sewing, it's different. Um, so yeah, this is just 8 in the back, like standard. I do the same thing everywhere. The only difference in my sweaters is where I place them. Is that here I'll place them in the beginning. Normally I'll just place them after color, like after the color work, and that's
so
it.
you
That's the only difference.
you always do from big to small,
Yeah,
not from
yeah,
small to big.
always. And I've
So
seen
I think it doesn't matter then.
No, well, you see, this is a difference is I do like a lot of designers do it that way, and I just did the same thing because it seems that people are okay with it. But I always assume that if you want a garment that's tailored to you, and I know a lot of people are not familiar with how to modify garments, it's actually very easy once you do it once. Then they need to kind of investigate, and this is why we want to talk about this. They need to investigate how to make things that work for them. It's like I used to take patterns and just reduce the number of stitches because when I started knitting, a lot of patterns started with 37 bust, and I would drown in the pattern. I'd be like, I'm just gonna reduce, like take the 2 inches out and cast that on, and standard. Yeah, it's just, I mean, Elizabeth, sorry, I forgot her name now. Elizabeth Kramer. Yeah, Kramer. She has a lot of short rows, and I have a bunch of her patterns that I purchased because I really want to see how she does things, because a lot of people knit her stuff, and I'm interested in bettering myself and seeing how other designers do things. Maybe they know something I don't. I mean, two heads are better than one. She does a lot of short rows. She's more like you that way. Like she'll do those necks that you guys are seeing that are kind of graceful necks with that's all like short rows going here and then going. When I'm opening a pattern and I'm seeing 36 short rows. I'm sorry. I just I have trouble. I just need to start knitting. If you start knitting it, it'll be okay. If you're just reading it, it's very difficult to visualize that in my head. So, but you're not as bad as me when it comes to that. So,
yeah, I personally I love short rows, and I don't see any problem of doing this. And I do short rows when I need not the yoke, but just kind of fitted sleeves. And to lower the back, to have a nice curve on the back, not a straight line, because it doesn't look good, especially if you don't have a very wide band. So I do a little bit, on one side short rows, and then I continue to the other side. Yeah, and it doesn't need to be too many. I do 2 to 3, depends on yarn thickness. But yeah, I prefer, and when I find out that it fits better, and just continue doing this in my every pattern. So yeah, I like short rows, and what I wanna, as you mentioned, I do sometimes short rows distribute on the whole length of the yoke. So I do like one back and forth short rows at the beginning, like I did in this sweater, but I can have continuously chart. I can do this in this space, short rows I can do in this space, and I think it's this actually the best fit I got from my yoke sweater. And I did 3 sets of short rows, but it's just one. It's just one short row, back and forth once. Okay. Then you continue knit your yoke again, back and forth. And the last one is just before your separation. And how you do this, you basically do from from this, from middle of your shoulder or arm, and you grow just couple stitches more to front. You just get more stitches from the front. So if you have half of the body first short row, then you have 2 more stitches on the next short row and 2 more stitches or 3 more stitches. Again, it's a thick yarn, so the gauge is 16, I think, 16 stitches per 4 inches. So yeah,
this is before I forget. This is actually Wild in the Woods yarn that we mentioned last episode. Yeah. So it's a very earthy kind of wool, you know, like real wool. That's you
and
probably don't need to wash it very often. Huh?
It smells like a wool. It's nice woolly smell. Not a sheep, but kind of, you know, how the natural wool smell.
You know, that reminds me of, you know, Lopi. I don't know if I said that in any of the episodes before because it's been so long. I don't even remember what I said. But Lopi, you know, the Plodo that comes in the plates, it smells like sheep poop. I'm not joking. I swear I found a little piece of poop in one of the plates. I'm not joking. I mean, I'm okay with it. I actually don't mind it. Like, I think that those animals that graze on grass, they don't actually smell bad anyway, because they're not eating any other animals, right? So, yeah, sheep poop.
But you will wash it anyway after you make something.
I know. So it's, you know, I bought some I know I used to have this twig and horn soap that I gave you one to. I lost mine. I've searched it in the house. I swear to God, I've got this Domovoy living here, which is a Russian deity that I don't know how to explain it. Okay, it's a deity that lives in your house, and you don't want to piss it off, okay? Because if you piss it off, you're gonna start losing stuff. You're gonna start feeling bad. You know, you know, sometimes it chops people's beards. Anyways, I keep like losing things, and I suspect that this is what I have living here. What?
It's good that we don't have beard, especially you, because you have this Domovoy in your house.
I lost keys. You know those keys? This is a really funny story. About a year and a half ago, was it 2 years already? Yeah, 2 years. It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years. I went to Hawaii. So I left the keys in my garage, gave Natalie the code to get into my garage. I'm in Hawaii in the car, you know, we're driving somewhere, and then I get a call from her telling me that there is no key to get in the house. So she's in the garage and there's no key.
Two
cats locked in the house, right?
You left for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I left for 2 weeks. So I'm like, it can't be. I got so pissed off at myself. Just like, it can't be. Like, how? Like, I mean, I put the key there. You know what? I still can't find that key. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went. I don't know what happened to it. So, yeah. Luckily, like her husband was able to open the door without the key. So, yeah. So, I mean, I'm now convinced.
Kids were safe, fed, clean.
No, I said that if you can't open it, then just pry it open, break it, and then I'll just get a new door and, like, you know, reimburse you or whatever. But I mean, you got to feed the cats, right? But what I'm saying is that I never had this many things disappear, and so I don't know where I started talking about in the beginning, but oh yeah, the soap. So I displaced, I don't know where it went, and I bought a different soap that it's like sock soap from Tuft that I'm hoping it's gonna, you know, soften these types of wools a little bit. But you know, what's the other, that liquid thing? Do you remember what it's called?
Eucalan.
Eucalan works too, but you're never gonna get it super soft. You're never gonna have a superwash wool from this kind of yarn. It's always gonna be a little bit you know, a little bit scratchy. So if you don't like scratchy wool, you should probably not buy it to begin with in order to avoid getting disappointed. But a lot of us, like, I'm not sensitive to it, and I love the fact that it's warm, and I like how light it is, and how you don't need to wash it like ever because it's just kind of cleans itself, you know. And yeah, um, I so this is a I'm gonna link to those patterns so you can take a look. Does it fit loose?
Uh, does it fit loose? Okay. I can put it on, and
Okay.
you will see. No,
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
no, it's okay. I can try it on, and it doesn't fit loose on a yoke. Yeah, let's see.
Oh, I like the fit and the yoke. I really do. But
I, I,
it's a lower, like your yoke is lower a little bit. I see. It's more like a Japanese kind of thing where it's a bit lower. Yeah, it fits
yeah,
really nice.
but you can
Yep.
stop
Yep.
where you want. It doesn't matter. This one is fit very good.
Yep.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
what.
I like it.
And you actually can. It's too late. You finished your yoke on this
Yep.
bricks and little yarn, but it was a good candidate to
Yeah.
try
This
uh,
Well, I mean, I said I finished it, but this actually may change once I block it. Like I'm gonna slip it onto yarn to it's on the needles, but I'm gonna slip it onto scrap yarn tonight, and I'm gonna block it. You know how they always like I'm gonna block it like a circle, and I'm gonna see how it fits.
you have to undo like to the very,
Yeah,
very beginning
no,
to
that's
start
fine.
it.
This is my second try. This is how I've already done that once. Oh yeah. I'm not like if something doesn't fit, I'll just undo it. I don't even think twice anymore because I feel like if something doesn't work, this is not sewing where you cut, that's it, you're done. This is why I don't sew. I have anxiety about sewing because you know, fabric is so expensive. You cut it once and you're done. There's no other chances. I mean, who are you gonna make it for? Like your little niece or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like you've got you know, an inch of selvage or whatever, and that's it. You cut it wrong, that's it. Um, my great grandmother was a tailor, and that's what she said. Measure 7 times, cut one, not 2 times, 7 times. Okay, 7 times. Yeah, yeah. So I did not inherit that gene, but yeah, so what do I have? Oh, I don't remember actually if I might have used 2 sets of short rows here. I think I did. Yeah, actually, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. So in this sweater, because the color work, this is my Lopi sweater. The color work starts right at after the rib. I just put the short rows in the back. That's it. You can't tell because I use German short rows, but and again, the difference is just an inch. So it fits fine, but I think, Natalie, you're right. If you go from bigger to smaller, you might have a little bit volume in the back, that hump. So you gotta kind of consider. I might try your system next because I think it does give you a little bit of volume. Basically, short rows just create 3D volume where you put them. So if you're gonna go from bigger to smaller, you're gonna have like more volume here. If you're gonna go from bigger you know, from smaller to bigger, then you're gonna have volume on here. So it just depends how you do it. I think it works. This doesn't fit. This fits a little looser than I like, but I actually haven't worn it this year because it hasn't been that cold. This is a Lopi. Uh, this is a Lopi sweater, so it's very warm.
Yeah, this year was extremely warm, I would
Yeah.
say. I didn't wear this even once. Last year I wore it all the time, but this year I didn't. Yeah, instead I wear this Julie
Yeah.
Etlin nurtured sweater. Yeah, but this is too warm, so I didn't wear it.
Really?
Anyway,
Yes. Right. Yeah, I haven't seen you wear that in a long time.
yeah, I only wore it last year. So.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
um, about the increases, I have one tip which I tried on one of my sweater is when you do the increases after you finish your color work,
Mm-hmm.
you want to distribute it evenly. Put less increases on the sleeve and more decreases on the body, because they even if you use a bigger needle for
Mm-hmm.
the color work, it's still a little bit
Bunched up.
bunched the fabric, and when you do decreases, but usually increases, usually you do it just before the separation because the yoke are longer
Mm-hmm.
now, and if you do less decreases on increases increases on the sleeves, it would be fit better and don't have this kind of gathering fabric after the color work. But it's just my preference. I did use both ways, so I just found this recently, this tip. So I only did this on my one sweater.
No, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. I think I think you're right because the sleeves are generally not at this point your arm is just kind of straight, you know, so it doesn't need to be, you know.
It's noticeable, especially with the fingering way too. I think with the thick yarn it's okay, but with the fingering, yeah, I found this tip very useful.
That's interesting. I've never tried that. I add after the color work, I normally add about 10% of stitches after the color work normally. So and it's just a little bit to give like extra volume for the bust. So I don't, and I do distribute them evenly, but there it's it definitely all my sweaters are standard fit though. They're not elongated. They're just standard fit. I haven't been that brave yet to venture into other fits, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. I am.
But if you have a fewer increases after your yoke, you can put all of them on a body and maybe just one
Mhm.
on a sleeve and see
Yeah.
uh, how it. Anyway, you will distribute as many stitches as you need for the sleeves and
Yeah.
for the body. So it doesn't matter how you do your
Yeah.
increases, but maybe it would give you better fit.
Yeah, you just that's guys what we're kind of aiming with this conversation is you sometimes you take a pattern as your canvas and you kind of experiment with the fit according to your body. And it's not like I know people are afraid to modify patterns. Don't be afraid because designers aren't gods. They're not they don't know what shape you are. They write for the standard measurements that are listed in the guide. So not all people with 32 bust have 36 hips, for example. So it's like just one example, right? Everyone's different, and I think it's important to measure yourself and to see the like some people backs are straight, some people have a bit of curve, some people you kind of want to um, tailor the pattern a little bit, and it comes with experience. The more you knit, the more you notice this. And I know I've heard this conversation somewhere else, so we're not the first ones addressing it. But the patterns are just they're made for standard sizing, and they don't account for the difference in your shape. So that's where when you're knit a couple of sweaters, you really need to turn your brain on and don't be afraid to modify because you're going to be a lot happier with the result. I mean, it depends. Some people they don't mind just knitting, and if it doesn't work out, they give it away. I mean, that's fine too. It depends what you're trying to do. you
Yeah,
know.
if you want
Yeah,
at the result have a nice sweater, so better to
yeah,
fit it nicely, customize to your body type.
yeah.
For me, for example, I have a thin hands, so I don't need too many stitches for my hands. And other people complaining that they
Yeah.
have actually
Bigger heel,
bigger,
yeah. Bigger
bigger
bicep. Yeah,
biceps, so they definitely need more stitches for their sleeves. So that's how you adjust the
yeah,
pattern for your body fit. And
yeah.
actually, I want to tell about this increase on sleeves. It's about this Japanese designers pattern. They have many increases after their yokes, and to make it nice, that's what people recommend. So if you
Wow.
have, if you have again many increases after you finish your color work, just do more on the body and less on the sleeve to avoid the ruffle.
Hmm.
If you don't want, no, some people don't care, but if you the perfectionist, so try this and you will see. Anyway, you always can undo if you don't like the result. It's just a little bit. So you would, again, as Jenny suggests, you slip it on the waist yarn, put it on and see how it fits. And if you don't like to undo 10 rows, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's the thing is that with knitting, it's always possible. So I that's why I like knitting more than sewing. Anyways, I bought some yarn which I showed on Instagram, but I'm gonna show it here. It's I bought it from the Yarn and Kamloops. It's knit two yarns, I think they're called. I'll link to them in the episode notes. But this is Alberta Yarn Project, which uses yarn that's grown in Alberta or Saskatchewan in Canada, and they this is single ply, and it's Dorset BWM, which I forget what it stands for. It's other breeds, so it's a mix of two different breeds. So it's very woolly, kind of natural wool, and this is different breed. It feels a little bit different. Feels a little bit smoother. This is NCC, so it's North Country Cheviot. So this is like smoother. This is more, a little bit more rougher, I would say. But I think they're both natural wools. They're not super wash. So I really like these colors. I don't know if they have enough contrast to go together as a yoke sweater though. I have a doubt about. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you need either black or darker gray to have
Darker gray, yeah. So I might do a shawl with those for that reason because it just doesn't have I don't really well, it's not that I don't like low contrast, but I seem to prefer, like strong contrast in my patterns. I'm drawn to more of a when there's a contrast color, you can actually see the contrast color. So these ones are not really they don't have enough contrast. So I think I might just do a shawl.
if you want to emphasize on the color work or on the
Yeah.
texture you want to need, so you have to have a stronger
Yep.
contrast than
Yeah.
than
But this can also be mixed, is I love mixing different yarns. This can also be mixed with Briggs and Little.
oh yeah,
It's the
yeah.
same, the yardage is very similar, and I think it's very similar. It feels a little bit different. Like Briggs, this is more, the way it's spun, it's more uniform. Like it doesn't have the thick and thin thing. It's
More even.
more uniform, yeah. But the way they're both real wool, so I think when you knit it up, it's probably not going to be that much different because Briggs and Little has a very unique kind of look to it. It does have a thick and thin in some places, and I have a ton of Briggs and Little, so that's what I bought. I just saw her post this online, and it was more like I haven't bought yarn in a long time. Maybe I should buy this because I like natural wool. And now I'm home until April 2nd, so I have got more time to knit.
Oh yeah, you have tons of time.
I've got lots of time, but I'm really stressed out what's going to happen after because we have this situation here changing daily, and Natalie's still going to work, so I don't know what's going to happen even like on Monday or Tuesday or like I it's very stressful.
I
Uh,
think they're gonna put more restriction for the like they did for California. So because these number of sick people are growing pretty fast. So
yeah,
wait, what's gonna happen? Honestly, look like they cannot control this. As they said, flatten the curve. So far, it's not a flatten, it's just go
yeah.
skyrockets.
Well, I mean, in California they don't have anything like this in Canada. I don't know if they can implement this here in California. They're not allowed to leave their house unless you're going to get some food, from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but which will mean for you and I, that would mean we cannot go to work because our business, like we work in a business that's not essential. It's got nothing to do with essential services. So, if a government says all businesses must stop, then they would have to close the lab too. So it's not,
Sure. No,
um,
they will close the lab
you
if
think
they
so?
say, yeah, if they said no more work, then they and you should stay home. So stay home, it means stay home.
Right. Well, for me, I mean, I'm only worried about lack of daycare for my son because if they close daycares, but I still have to go to work, then I mean, I got a problem. So a situation where nobody goes to work is actually okay with me. Uh, I mean, aside from the fact that you're not going to get paid, which is, I mean, it is what it is, right? But I can't leave my son alone. So that's what I'm worried about. I guess you wouldn't worry about it in this situation because no, you don't know what's going to happen. Just like you're convinced they're just going to close everything.
Yeah, yeah, I because
That's odd.
otherwise, lots of people gonna die.
You think so?
And yeah, and what I read, they today actually they didn't tell you what community
Hmm.
affected, and people very angry with this.
Hmm.
But they wanna know who is
Hmm.
sick around, not just like region in the northern region. No, it's not informative enough. So people want to know who is sick around them, and I think they're gonna push to close everything down.
I know here in Tri-Cities, I know someone who knows someone who got it, and I know another person in this area, not like where I live, but in the Tri-Cities area who got it. So there's definitely cases in the Tri-Cities now. And there's also a
But
case in
say
huh?
anywhere that we, it doesn't say anywhere that we have. They
No,
had in
no,
Vancouver.
no. No, it's just because if you know someone who knows someone, then you'll know. But otherwise, they don't tell you. And I think they don't tell you because they want you to stay home and they want you to be afraid and they want you to be cautious. They want you to be cautious and not going to, all the playgrounds are closed. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like everything's taped up. So I just don't, my concern is with the daycares open, one thing is the kids are still socializing first of all, and if in Alberta they closed the daycares but they didn't close all the businesses, so that makes no sense either. Like what am I supposed to do with my kid? Like our work doesn't allow to work from home, and I mean, like what do you do in this case, right? So um I don't know how this is in Canada. It's very hard to enforce the lockdown in this country, And if they do enforce it, I don't know. I know US is a little bit different. First of all, US has more military power than we do here. Like who's going to enforce it here? So that's kind of what I'm not really I don't think they're going to have a full lockdown.
It's not like somebody with a gun would force you go back to your house. I think it's more based on fines. Like they see you on the street, they come to you and give you the paper, like like with the parking ticket. I think it's gonna be.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they can do that. I mean, if it gets out of hand, like I don't know. It's very stressful right now. It's definitely not. It's a very strange situation. Like I've lived here since 1996, and I've never seen the border closed with with US. And I think someone said that it's never been closed. So a week ago, I actually did not think it's going to get to the point where they're going to close the border. I was like, okay, when I'm going to go down there, I sent my husband to the mailbox. I'm just in case. Well, it actually the border closure happened. Like it's actually there. So
They completely shut the border. No, not tonight, but last night. They said from 12 a.m. they're gonna completely shut the border.
Well, except for trades.
I don't know. They didn't.
No. It's what it is. It's except for trades. Yeah. The trade truck, the trucks that are carrying the goods are still coming through back and forth, whatever. Yeah, they have to. We don't make anything in this country, so they have to. A lot of the produce comes from US, a lot of food comes from US. Like people don't realize how our economies are connected, and it's not, I mean, yeah, you can go to your local farmers market, but I mean, are you even going to be allowed to do that next week? Like that's you have to.
I don't know. They probably closed the. I did actually. I went to my favorite meat shop because I wanna get some eggs, and they were still open. But I'm not sure if I didn't ask the owner. But I think they're gonna shut the door. Shut down the store.
Yeah. Anyways, I just hope what I keep hearing it's towards June, towards the end of May, it's all gonna start, improving. So, and then summer, in the summer it should be back to normal, and then in the fall, I think
it's gonna come back again.
Yeah, what's gonna happen is this flu is gonna be part of the other flus. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be, swine flu is still out there, like all these other viruses are still out there. And so it's just, anyways, it's too depressing. I'm going to show one more thing that I showed on my Instagram. I just wanted to show you guys in person this tip case. And that's because the maker of these tip cases, which Jen Yun, which is Jen Yun Leather and Wool, she sent this to me as a surprise a while ago, and this is part of a box that she did with Annie.creative, so that I couldn't show it up until now because now it's out. And the box also had my pattern in it. What this is for, and this is for people like me who travel and knit. Well, not so much now, but I knit on the bus all the time. So on the bus, when you're with your project bag and you've got your needles, they're sticking out and scaring people that sit beside you. I've actually seen people get up and leave when they saw the needles. I'm not joking. I'm not kidding. Okay. So what you can do is just slide your needles, and it doesn't matter whether these are interchangeables or not, doesn't matter. So you just slide them like that. And so you've got this, it's a leather case. She hand sews everything. You can go on her Instagram and check out her process. It's so you just slide it like that, and then your project bag is safe, from your needles. And I know some people, these are dull needles, but some people really like using sharp needles. So in this case, in order not to injure yourself, some people they carry it right next to their body, right? So this is very useful, and it's leather, so it's very sustainable. I prefer leather to nylon and other things because I like the look of it better. But if sustainability is your thing, then that's good too. So yeah, I'm just gonna I guess knit more and try to hope for the best. Like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I think that it's just depends. It's gotten worse over the last week. And
Yeah, it's not getting better yet, but let's hope it's gonna eventually. It's gonna.
yeah, I'm thinking maybe like I've seen a lot of yarn people doing these virtual meetups and virtual knit nights. Like I don't know if this is something we can look into in the future if this thing keeps being this way. I think it's a great thing to have, like a you know connection with people, especially now where everyone's sitting at home. I'm supposed to be at home, and I haven't left my house since then because I was coughing, and I'm still coughing a little bit. So who knows what I have? But it's best to not interact with other people, like close. So I think that these online methods are definitely helping to cope in terms of because some people don't like being alone. You like being alone, right?
Uh, I don't know. Maybe. Okay, let's wrap it up because
Yeah,
I think it's more. Did you actually see the time? How
yeah.
long it
We have
was?
55 minutes, so we're good. It's a long podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Well,
I think we're good. And yeah, I mean, a comment as usual. We're gonna do more of this now. I have more time. We can do more podcasting. And if you have suggestions, what you want to hear us talk about, do comment. I read all the comments. Yeah. So
okay.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.